I proposed to Mariela when she was here for some other reasons, why doesn't she come and talk to you? And she agreed, and we set a date, and here she is. And thank you very much.
Well, thank you.
And you'll hear from them.
Sorry?
You'll hear from them, and you'll have to mark them.
Okay.
There is a group that will work on Arcad Foundation, and you get the report in a few weeks.
Thank you. Thank you to all of you.
Thank you very much. Okay, I need to kind of sum up because next class is the quiz. So if I didn't do that, that would not be nice. I need to first of all say that I'm running this course for around 10 years. It's not a short period of time. When I started this program, it was with the idea, two kinds of ideas, which probably you've understood, that there were these traditional roles that government took on to help society. Increasingly across the world, developed and developing countries, government is pushing back from that role. Government is no longer doing what it used to do once upon a time. Secondly, the horizons of business is expanding more and more. So, including we've come to a point where in India, we have a situation of a mandatory corporate social responsibility. It's not a pity, it's a necessity. That's why government mandated it and you have it. But we are now, as our guest professor last week told you, in uncharted territory. And over the 10 years, what I realized is certain things which I kind of put through across, we did, if you remember now, we did about 10 themes in this course, 10, 11, 12 of that order. We covered many NGOs. One company, I mean, if I really look at it, it's almost close to 20 NGOs nationally and with Arcad internationally that we covered. We covered one company, ITC. We also, where we didn't meet, we covered several cases, mostly of Harvard Business School, about 7 or 8. So effectively, we've got a complete exposure to the NGO world. But remember, I didn't talk to you about so many unsuccessful ones. Most of these models have something to give us, something that is important for this course. And let's look at what those takeaways, at least for me, are. I hope they are for you too. One is, if you remember, when Organic was presenting, and she asked, what does entrepreneurship in NGOs start with? And one of you said, and I was looking at that video a couple of days back, you said, overcoming a social challenge. It's not about making NGOs into business houses. You had two presentations today, one from Dr. Jana, one from Mariela. Neither of these presentations were talking about making cancer into a business or, giving sex workers a lot of money. What it was talking about was something more fundamental. Improving quality of life and giving dignity. So this finally is something that NGOs can do much more than businesses can. Give a better quality of life, give a better assurance of life, and give dignity, in some cases give rights. And fundamentally it's overcoming a social challenge. As you heard from both of them and realized that money is never plenty in this universe. NGOs work with very little money to overcome huge social challenges, with government sitting on pots of money, never do. We need to remember, particularly you need to remember, in the world that you will go out in as business managers, as MBAs, you will never be able to act and really do something fundamental for the world, for the nation, unless you take care of, at least mentally, these considerations. You may not go and work in an NGO, but these considerations, the thoughts that you accumulated over the course of this particular course, are going to stay with you. So let's look at what we did. We looked at big and small NGOs. We didn't look at very big NGOs like CARE and Oxfam, which are as big and work like multinational organizations. We didn't go that far, but we did work with relatively big NGOs like CRY, which are almost described as mother NGOs, which kind of help other NGOs. And we dealt with very small NGOs, just finding their feet, like Touch World, if you remember. Were just about trying their way, giving prisoners some kind of way to live. It's fundamental, it's important, it's necessary. Otherwise you'll have revolutions in society. But we dealt with big and small NGOs. We dealt with development, advocacy and mixed NGOs. How would you describe Durbar today? You could have said that they are an advocacy NGO. But right across in today's presentation you heard that these people even created many other ecosystems where they ensured education for themselves. They ensured that they had a huge fund, a huge deposit with them, that now they are going out and helping other marginalized communities. So therefore, the discourse, the difference between development, where it is about growing in terms of a more financial and that kind of ecosystem, and advocacy, which is only about promoting rights, this difference is blurring. There are huge overlaps. And therefore we need to find that as well. Most NGOs that we saw, in fact the whole NGO universe, works with very little help from government. Government gives you tax relief at best. At best. Even that, in many cases, you have to really slog to get it. I've had worked with a project on AIDS control from IIM, where we learned that many NGOs would prefer to work with the Clinton Foundation or a Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation because of the huge bureaucracy involved in getting funds processed through the government. So therefore there is very, very little help from government. The other thing you need to understand, and if you look at this list, social business, how many of the cases that we talked about were social businesses? Maybe Arvind was, maybe Narayan Rudayalaya was, maybe Bandhan was a social business. But remember what Bandhan told you. They started from an NGO, they moved to an NBFC, and now they've moved to a bank. Why did they move? So that they could give money at lower cost to the people, to the beneficiaries. Ultimately, it is not about only making Mr. Chandrasekhar Ghosh a very rich man. When he left his job of 5,000 rupees, he saw an opportunity. But that opportunity was not fundamentally only about making himself rich. Of course, he wanted to do something bigger. But it was important for him to spot an opportunity where people could get money not with 700% interest, as he talked about the other day, but a modest sum of interest. How can you do that unless the cost of capital reduces? So the journey from an NGO to an NBFC to a bank facilitated that. So remember that there are some social businesses. But for instance, what you heard today, this is so fundamental to society. It is social engineering. There is huge amount of entrepreneurship involved. Would you say that Mariela and Dr. Jana are not entrepreneurs? They are entrepreneurs. Without them, would this whole thing have happened? Would HIV/AIDS have remained so controlled in India today? Would digestive cancer treatment happen the same way without them, just governments working, just some oncologists working in separate places? No. Look at Gunj, that's one case study that will still happen. Look at the kind of, anyway, so that is fundamental to realize it is not social business is only half the story. And that's why we exposed you to so many other kinds of NGOs where other kinds of entrepreneurship is happening. That entrepreneurship is not just about growing your wallet. So it's usually, as I said, not about the money. Money is a means. Even today we saw that the amount of money, just deposit, that is collected by Durbar is huge. That money was just lying idle. They were not getting money. So Dr. Jana's efforts as created corpus around it, and that corpus is growing, it's getting managed, and it is helping. But it is not about the money. None of these NGOs that we examined started their work or are doing their work or ending their work with money. Money is not the goal. Money is definitely very important in life, and therefore money has been treated as the means. Social innovation frequently makes the impossible very simply possible. This is something we need to realize. And Arvind was an example, Narayan Rudela was an example, Jaipur Foot was an example, many others that we talked about were really had a lot of social innovations in them. Sasha was an example. So, and even the others, there has been a lot of social innovation, and the impossible became possible in any case. So for me, entrepreneurship is about making the impossible possible. In what way? Very simply. Not by very complicated formulas. Because finally it has to be very, 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 very simple to the persons who are experiencing it. We saw all along that intellectual property was not a big thing in this world. People are willing to share what they have. People are not clinging to the royalties of what they have. Most of them. Not all of them maybe, but most of them. It's not the done thing. We saw across the board, everybody you met, inspirational and catalytic leadership. What do I mean by that? Because of them being there, because of that person being there, one central figure, you had a whole organization being created. And then they passed the baton on, each one of them. And therefore they created many people, not exactly like them, but with the same dreams, the same vision. I can tell you, Dr. Jana is here today, this whole Durbar movement is synonymous with it. You say DMSC, you say Durbar, anywhere in the world, or you say Sonagachi, the name that will crop up is Dr. Smalajit Jana. So it's inspirational and catalytic leadership all the way through. Motivation in all these cases, none of them was, how much money will I get? These people have to work around different management models where people are not motivated by the amount they get credited into their bank account end of the month. Once again, money is important. You have to work 24/7 sometimes, 365 days a year in most of these organizations. And when you are tired and just falling off to sleep, or you're giving up or something like that, one more thing comes up and you have to carry on. So you have to find, and people have found, non-monetary motivation sources across everybody that you've met. Sustainability, nobody had a clue on day one. How would I sustain? And we did not only give you answers, even Mariela today posed a question to you. So we had organizations who came, who had the answer, it's very good, but there were organizations who are still groping. Even Abandhan, which has the answer today. How much time did it take and what processes? And you heard what kind of journeys was required to arrive at that answer. So it comes by trial and error, it comes by discussion, it comes by suddenly something happening, suddenly a formula emerging from somewhere. Okay? We learned in the Annapurna Mahila Mandal case, and I also talked very briefly because I didn't have time about Ushagram. It was uploaded on the video. And I told you about the leadership crisis they are experiencing, that succession planning is very critical in these NGOs. Otherwise, if the founder or the charismatic founder doesn't think it through, then you may land into a problem. And I said, saying this, and this is a learning from Annapurna, you saw that, after the charisma phase, systems, process and structure become key. Alright? So that is fundamental. And you see that very much in that case. You see the opposite of that in Ushagram. If you see the video, it's very, very clearly that. And for an NGO to sustain this process, systems, structure are fundamental. How do you organize the team? How big is it? The cost issues, responsibility allocation, everything organizing the team is critical, far more critical than elsewhere. If you looked at Narayan Rudala, if you looked at Arvind, the way they organize themselves, it's a huge lesson. It's in fact more perfect than a corporate. It has to be, because what they're trying to do is always making the impossible into the possible. We talk of scaling. Scaling, by scaling we understand creating something and having many prototypes of the same thing all over the place. But that's not only scaling. 1 hospital, 10 hospitals, 100 hospitals. But then you can have scaling another way also. Penetrate deeper and deeper and deeper. When you're dealing with society, there is one level on top, then you go deeper and deeper and deeper, till you access people who have never that kind of access before. That doesn't mean necessarily geographical spread. This is not an enterprise which just adds some more millions of dollars to it. But it touches the lives of so many people. So you can have scaling, sometimes vertical penetration. Always the case, mission is the driver. Whenever it's a choice between following your mission and doing something else because it's easier to get money, the answers that all good NGOs have given is follow the mission, the money will come. Alright? That's a fundamental lesson. We need to understand, I think at the end of this course you've met all these very queer and serious people, that NGOs will hardly ever become companies. Bandhan is one example. And companies will hardly ever become NGOs. They are two different worlds. So when you think of NGOs, even in future, shut down your corporate thinking and think of them in their world. But what's very important is, for the success of what you saw, government, business and NGOs need to team up and need to learn from each other. If they consider themselves enemies of each other, in the world that is coming upon us, it's not good. Resources limited, social problems are pressing, people are becoming richer day by day, another set of people are becoming poorer day by day, diseases are spreading, education is far from what it ought to be, public health is many places abysmal, infrastructure is not there. So if you take a combination of all that, teaming up and learning from each other in this ecosystem is important. And therefore, virtuous partnerships. You saw a list of Mariella today. Clinical research involving banks, involving advertising companies. So that's it. In Pepsi Basics case, you saw the same thing. What does it talk about? Each one of them, from an Alokananda Roy to Touch World, to Chandrasekhar Ghosh, to a Dr. Jana, to the people in CRY, to a Ramakrishna Mission, what does it ask for? Something much more than is asked for in your placement interviews, which is an enduring passion. You do it, you sleep with it, you dream about it, you wake up with it, alright? You eat it, if possible. Steely determination, because many a time you feel like giving up. It's not worth it, the problems are too much, I can't do it anymore, and usually lifelong commitment. Why does it become lifelong? Even today you heard Dr. Janak saying candidly, when he got into it, it was not because of the sex workers. It was to protect people like you and me. It was to protect mainstream society. But once you get into it, you are trapped. You cannot get out of it. Alright? So it's lifelong commitment. So I put it here, doubts and dilemmas come. And they go. Why do they go? Because you have this, besides nobody will leave you. Even if you do it part-time, even if you do it on weekends, even if you do it once a year, it's not something that you give up easily. So when people give back to community, that's one word that vaguely describes all this, you don't stop. When you start, you go on. It's a choice. Should I start? Should I not start? Once you start, you usually go deeper into it, but you never come out of it. You never say, no, it's not worth it. That choice is just not there. So doubts and dilemmas come and go. But what is it all about? What does it finally give you end of the day? It doesn't give you money. Doesn't always give you huge newspaper headlines. You don't always find that you've been very successful because there are a lot of failures on the way. You do see a smile. You see a smile on somebody's lips. And that says much more than a million words, and much more than $1 billion, and a lot of recognition from your boss. This is key. And the other thing that happens is, as we grow older as human beings and start asking ourselves, what is it that I have contributed in my life? This world, unlike the business world, gives you an answer. An enduring answer, an answer that stays with you, an answer that satisfies you. And therefore, what you get out of this, out of being associated with this world, is getting immense and lasting satisfaction. So it's not about, don't get scared. I'm not asking you to give up on IIM, to refuse the placements and become full-time NGO workers. I'm just saying, keep a sympathetic ear and an eyes that will scan and will be ready to help, and arms and legs. In your spare time, when you have time, think of all the causes and all that's happening. You've got a huge exposure. Very few students going to any business school have such a varied and rich exposure to NGOs. Very little theory has been done of what should it be, because honestly, you know still so little that you can't really comment. Go back to what Dr. Jana said, he started with something. The deeper you go, the more you discover. You've discovered something. It's a huge treasure trove of people who are actually doing it on a day-to-day, month-by-month, year-to-year basis. You've heard of their real-life experiences. You've seen that passion. You've seen that determination. You've seen that commitment. And you've seen that they have also been willing to come and share with you. Chandrasekhar Ghosh is a big name in India today. He's come all the way flying from abroad, out between business meetings. Dr. Jana is a big name. Every person you met, Alokananda Roy, big name in this city today. Mariella has come all the way from Paris just to talk to you. Might seem funny to you, might seem strange to you, but this is a place where sincerity matters, where people mean what they say and say what they mean. Thank you very much. It's been wonderful having you. Next class is the quiz. Once again, let me say, Gunj, I think you've seen a notice. We're just asking for a report. No presentation. An hour and a half in the next class. And in that hour and a half, you'll have a case and things like that. And it's written clearly, open book. So that day, keep your smartphones, tablets, laptops, books open. You have it all for yourself. Okay? Any last questions? We've run out of time. Anything about the quiz? And Arcad, the group that's working, and the group that's working on Durbar, I hope you've taken note. Shalini will upload the videos shortly. It will be uploaded today. We should have, this time we've got a YouTube channel. I hope you had the chance to see it. All the things have been done, including the guest lectures. Because during Diwali, I realized some of you might have gone home. So without telling you, I quietly videoed it. So it's up on the video link. So if you missed it, please read it up. So it's all on the YouTube channel, and the other stuff is on the course web. So everything is given. Okay? Thank you very, very much. It's been wonderful these last couple of months. And don't forget, there is still one class after that. And that's also very interesting. NGOs, NGOs, and the Bengal. You are in Bengal, particularly those who are outside Bengal, and those who are from other countries. Bengal is a great symbol of Bengal. Find the link between this course and Bengal. That's very great. Thank you very much.